She said, "My ex is coming to our party. If you're uncomfortable, you can leave." I replied, "Understood." Then I canceled the party and emailed all our friends. "Sorry, canceled." She wanted to host her ex alone. The call she got: "I, 32 male, am a pretty simple guy. I work in logistics, I like to grill, and I highly value my peace and quiet. 2 years ago, I married my wife. About 6 months before we tied the knot, my grandfather passed away. He was my hero, and he left me a significant inheritance. I used almost every penny of it to buy a house outright. A good one, too. Nice yard, new roof, good neighborhood. Before we got married, I made one thing crystal clear. The house was in my name only. It was my premarital asset. She moved in, and we started our life. I thought things were good. We had normal ups and downs, but nothing major, or so I thought. We were planning a huge joint party for last Saturday. It was officially a housewarming, since we finally finished renovating the backyard, and my 32nd birthday rolled into one. I'd spent the entire week prior prepping. I pressure-washed the deck, landscaped the yard, and bought about $300 worth of high-end steaks and ribs. I was genuinely excited. All our friends, my family, and her family were coming. It was supposed to be a perfect day. The party was scheduled to start at 4 p.m. At 1 p.m., I'm in the kitchen, covered in dry rub, prepping the meat. She walks in, glued to her phone, and just casually drops a bomb without even looking up. "Hey, just so you know, I invited my ex." I stopped what I was doing. "You what?" She finally looked up, defensive already. "I invited him. He's in town, he didn't have plans, and it felt rude not to. We're mature adults, we can be friends." I need to give you context on this guy. They dated for 3 years, broken up for 4, but 6 months before our wedding, she was still taking late-night crying calls from him because his life was a mess. I had to put my foot down back then, and I thought that was the end of it. "No, absolutely not," I said. "We have talked about this. It's my birthday. I don't want a guy you used to lose sleep over at my party, in my house." Her face hardened instantly. "It's our house, and I already told him he could come. You're being incredibly controlling and insecure right now. It's embarrassing." "I'm not being insecure. I'm setting a boundary," I said, trying to keep my voice level despite my blood pressure spiking. "He is not coming. Uninvite him, or I will." She took a step closer, and her voice got terrifyingly cold. "You will not embarrass me like that. He is my guest. If you're that uncomfortable with it, you can leave." I just stared at her. The air completely left the room. She had just told me to leave my own house, on my birthday, to accommodate her ex-boyfriend. In that split second, every "I love you," every shared memory, it all just evaporated. I didn't see my wife anymore. I saw a stranger who felt unbelievably entitled to my life. I didn't yell. I didn't throw things. I just wiped my hands on a towel and said, firmly, "Understood." She gave this little smug, satisfied smirk, like she just won a game of chicken, and went upstairs to get ready. She probably thought I was going to sulk in the garage and get over it by the time guests arrived. She was very wrong. I went into my office and locked the door. I sat at my computer and pulled up the master email invite list. It was huge. Over 50 people. Family, friends, co-workers, neighbors. I opened a new email, drafted a quick message, and put every single email address into the BCC field. Subject: canceled. Housewarming and 32nd birthday party. Body: hello everyone. I am deeply sorry for the last-minute notice, but today's party is completely canceled. My wife just informed me that she has invited her ex-boyfriend to our home against my express wishes. When I told her I was uncomfortable with this on my birthday, her response was, "If you're uncomfortable, you can leave." I am choosing to honor her request, and I am leaving my home. She obviously wanted to host her ex alone today, and I won't stand in the way of that. My sincerest apologies to all of you who made plans to be here. I hope to see you under better circumstances soon. I hit send, the nuclear option, while she was in the shower, blasting music. I packed a go bag, laptop, clothes, my grandfather's watch, and important documents from the safe, including the original deed to the house. I walked out the front door at 1:45 p.m., got in my truck, and drove to my best friend's house. I'd been sitting on his couch for about 10 minutes when my phone exploded. Text calls, voicemails. My mom was frantic. Her dad called me twice. I let it go to voicemail. My buddies were blowing up our group chat with a mix of shock and furious support. But the real show was her reaction. I imagined her getting out of the shower, checking her phone, and seeing the absolute wall of notifications from humiliated family members. I didn't just sit there, though I had a gut feeling. A really nasty one. I realized I'd been ignoring red flags for months. Hush phone calls, her being protective of her laptop. I logged into our main joint checking account from my phone. It's the account where I'd recently deposited a large chunk of the remaining inheritance money for us to start a future family fund. My stomach dropped. There was a scheduled transfer pending for the following Monday. $50,000. It was set to go to an LLC I didn't recognize. A quick Google search of the LLC name brought up a registered agent. Her ex. The party wasn't just a party. It was a victory lap. She was planning to funnel $50,000 of my grandfather's money to this deadbeat to invest in whatever scam he was running this week. And she wanted to normalize him being around, so I wouldn't be suspicious when his name popped up later. I called the bank's fraud line immediately. Because it was a weekend. It was a nightmare to get through to a human, but I finally did. I told them the transfer was unauthorized and that my account security might be compromised. They froze everything. Joint checking, savings, even my personal credit cards just to be safe. Then I called a buddy of mine who works in family law. He didn't pick up, so I left a desperate voicemail detailing everything. The kick out the ex, the $50,000 attempted transfer. I sat there for another hour, just letting the rage build into something cold and solid. I wasn't sad anymore. I was on a mission. At 4:30 p.m., I drove back home. Her car was in the driveway, so it was a beat-up sedan I recognized instantly. He was there. I let myself in. The house was dead quiet. No party music. No happy guests. Just the sound of her crying in the living room. I walked in. She was on the sofa, mascara running down her face, phone clutched in her hand. The ex was sitting uncomfortably in my recliner. They both jumped about a foot when they saw me. "What are you doing here?" she stammered, wiping her face. "I live here," I said, my voice terrifyingly calm even to my own ears. I looked at him. "You don't. Get out." He stood up, trying to puff his chest out. "Hey, man, look, you really messed her up with that email. That was uncalled for. We're just talking." "We're done talking," I said. "And by the way, the bank called. That $50,000 transfer to your LLC, it's canceled. Account is frozen. I know everything." The color drained from both of their faces. It was actually comical how fast they panicked. You invaded my privacy," she shrieked, jumping up. "You tried to embezzle $50,000 from me." I yelled back, finally losing my cool. "To give to him? Are you insane? It's my money too. We're married. He needed it for a legitimate business opportunity, and you're too selfish to ever help anyone. It was my inheritance, and you know it. That's fraud. And you," I pointed at the ex, "you're trespassing. If you're not off my property in 2 minutes, I'm calling the cops." "You can't kick me out. She invited me," he sneered. Then I saw it, sitting on the coffee table next to his keys. A shiny new house key with a bright yellow identifier tag. I walked over and snatched it up. "Where did you get this?" My wife went silent. "You gave him a key," I said, the realization hitting me like a physical punch. "You told me to leave my own house, and you gave him a key to it? I needed him to be able to come and go if we were working on the business stuff, and you weren't here," she cried, desperate now. "Get out," I said to him, pulling out my phone and dialing 911. "Now." He didn't argue this time. He grabbed his things and bolted out the front door without looking back, leaving her alone to face the music. A real stand-up guy. She completely lost it. She started throwing things. couch pillows at first, then a vase that shattered against a wall near my head. She was screaming that I had ruined her life, that I was abusive, financially controlling, a monster. I just stood by the door and waited for the police. I didn't engage. I just let her destroy the living room while I recorded voice memos on my phone in my pocket, capturing every threat she screamed. When the cops arrived, it was chaos. She tried to spin a story that I had come home violent, but the scene didn't match her words. I was calm, standing by the door. She was hysterical, surrounded by broken glass she had thrown. I showed the officers my ID and the digital copy of the deed on my phone. Gentlemen, this is my house. Premarital asset. My wife has become violent because I caught her attempting to transfer a large sum of money to her ex-boyfriend, who she also gave an unauthorized key to. I held up the key. They separated us. One officer talked to me outside, while the other tried to calm her down inside. Look, the officer said, it's a civil matter regarding the money, but the domestic disturbance is another issue. She's a resident, so you can't just lock her out tonight without a court order, usually. But given her state and the broken glass, one of you needs to leave to let things cool down. I am not leaving my house again, I said firmly. She told me to leave earlier, and I did. I came back to fraud, and her ex-boyfriend having a key. I don't feel safe with her here right now. She just threw a vase at my head. They went back inside. I don't know what they said to her, but about 10 minutes later, she came out carrying a hastily packed duffel bag, sobbing loudly enough for the neighbors to hear. She got in her car and left. I changed the locks that night, just paid the emergency locksmith fee, and didn't think twice about it. Monday morning, I was in a lawyer's office. I didn't just want a divorce. I wanted scorched earth. The divorce process was brutal. She tried everything. She claimed I was financially abusive because I kept the inheritance separate. She claimed she contributed to the value of the house by picking out paint colors and curtains, meaning she deserved half the equity. But I had the ammunition. The email where I canceled the party because she kicked me out, admissible to show her state of mind. The bank records showing the attempted $50,000 transfer literally days before I filed, that was the nail in the coffin. It painted a clear picture of financial infidelity and attempted dissipation of marital assets. Her friends abandoned her after the truth about the money came out. It's one thing to invite an ex to a party. It's another to try and steal your husband's inheritance for him. Even her own parents couldn't defend it. Her dad actually called me and apologized for how she raised her. That one hurt to hear, honestly. In the end, she got almost nothing. The judge was not amused by her little stunt with the bank transfer. We settled with her getting a tiny payout just to make her go away faster. Far less than she would have gotten if she'd just been a decent person and asked for a divorce normally. I sold the house last month. Even though I loved it, it felt tainted. I took the money, bought a smaller place further out in the country with even more land, and I'm finally starting to feel like myself again. It's funny. She wanted to show everyone how mature she was by hosting her ex. Instead, she showed everyone exactly who she really was.